For today's cup of coffee, I don't know whether to put this under a what the fuck file or if I need to start another category called reality check. This comes from Daily Mail and it's by Alex Hammer, November the 1st of 2023. Furious families have filed suit against a Colorado funeral home after it allegedly sent them fake ashes of relatives while leaving the bodies to rot. The suit comes weeks after a mind-boggling 189 corpses were discovered at the Return to Nature facility this past month, and I think that was in October, after a neighbor reported an abhorrent smell coming from the building some 100 miles south of Denver. Law enforcement officials have started identifying the decaying remains, some of which forensics has revealed were left years after they were allegedly cremated and supposedly sent out as ashes to grieving relatives. Several have since been notified that their loved ones were among the bodies, spurring a new class action suit that names owners John and Carrie Halford as plaintiffs, and those are the folks that's in our picture today. Among those to receive the news was Abby Chauveland, who says she believes the home gave her cement dust instead of her mother's ashes. Richard Law, whose dad died of COVID 3 years ago, also learned his relative was among the bodies. Chauveland said she strongly believes the Penrose facility gave her cement dust instead of her mother, Sarah Lee Chauveland's ashes. She said in a video interview with AP, quote, "I am completely convinced that what I have is actually a bag of powdered cement. They're not ashes," end quote. Producing a bag of the material that has yet to be tested, she showed her mom's death certificate and a series of photos of them during happier times. Feds notified her late last month that her mom was among nearly 200 found at the home on October the 4th, some of whom families have revealed had been dead for years. As of Wednesday, it remains unclear whether Chauveland's relative died, and says that's not the case with Lau, who says he paid more than $1,300 to cremate his father after his COVID-related death in November of 2020. Receipts show how he was also charged an additional $85 as a so-called COVID upcharge to ensure the remains were safely handled. Instead, on October the 19th, nearly 3 years after he thought his father was put to rest, he received a call from the FBI that notified him how he was found in the funeral home. Richard said of his late father, Roger, quote, "For nearly 3 years, Return to Nature Funeral Home and the Halfords allowed my father to rot along with nearly 200 others," end quote. An attorney representing families notes in a statement, quote, "Even as bodies were piling up inside the funeral home, John and Carrie Halford continued to assume custody of more and more bodies," end quote. Lawyer Andrew Swan added, quote, "In death, these men and women deserve to be treated with respect and dignity. Instead, they were defiled," end quote. A mass of reports emerged earlier this month that the funeral home appeared to have fabricated cremation records and may have given families fake ashes. The first to file suit, Lyle sent his father's remains to the Return to Nature in 2020. As was in the case with the Chauvelands, the funeral home claimed to cremate his father and sent the younger Lyle what appeared to be ashes. Like Chauveland, Lyle has not said whether he had the remains tested. Lyle was quoted in a press release saying that he was, quote, "honored to stand up on behalf," end quote, of his father and the other 188 victims. Tanya Wilson also believes her mother's ashes she spread in Hawaii in August were fake. She said last week that her mom's last wish was for her remains to be scattered in a place she loved, not rotting away in a building. Any peace that we had, thinking that we honored her wishes, was just completely ripped away from us, end quote. The El Paso County Coroner's Office, the agency tasked with analyzing the mass of cadavers, said last week that most of the bodies have been identified, while an unspecified amount still remain up in the air. All decedents were removed from the funeral home on October the 13th and transported to the coroner for analysis, and more families can still come forward to join the lawsuit. As for Halford, a licensed funeral director, he opened the family-run funeral home in 2017, at the time billing it as a green-friendly business. Neither he or his wife have been charged. Calls and texts sent to numbers listed for return to nature and owners have gone unanswered since the discovery of the decaying bodies. No arrests have been made. And if you type in returntonaturecolorado.com, you will get a page on GoDaddy that says the domain returntonaturecolorado.com is registered but may still be available. So in other words, they did take the website down at this point. And Youngest Kid and I had reported a couple of times over the past year about this push for green funerals. And this very well may be one of those things that's reality versus, ideas. Because it sounds nice. Yes, just let nature take its course and let the decay process happen. But this is the reality. There's a reason that cultures have the funeral, and burial methods that they do. Usually it is to put whatever it is to bury it or to cremate. Because the rotting process can take a long time. It can spread disease because you've got flies and bugs and everything, and y'all put a disclaimer. If it's too late, if you've already missed the disclaimer, then I'm sure you're disgusted by this point. But there's a lot of pathogens. You've got to wonder as far as winds carrying it. That one woman said that she was 100 miles away from this place, but that the odor was ridiculous. And because there were so many bodies, even one body, it's like in this area, if there's a carcass of anything close by, not only will it draw buzzards and things like that, but you can smell it. So anytime that you can smell an odor like that, that is your body saying this is not good. Get away from this. Do something about this. This is not healthy. So a lot of this green stuff, it sounds good on paper, but it doesn't work in reality. But now, according to the story, these people were supposed to cremate the remains. And that they did not. And that they just totally bogus. And I cannot even fathom how these owners went in there to try to deal with that smell. I can't imagine if anybody else came up to make arrangements for their loved ones or whatever. They're bound to have smelled something and known something was amiss. Or you would think that they would. I mean, if you go up to a funeral home or whatever and there's this putrid smell, I think that's, means that you should back out of the driveway and go to someplace else immediately. Oh, common sense. We need to have some common sense return. And the fact that nobody's been arrested, and that was in the comments on this, that was what people were asking. Why were these people not arrested? And there was one comment on it that was really good. It's like, we're living at a time where people don't respect the living, so what makes you think that they would respect the dead? This is why we continue to pray. If you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, what the fuck files, and or reality checks, and you would like to send us a email, that's cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. Email address is there in the description box, and I'll put the link to the article. And yeah, this is the world we're living in right now, folks. Remember to like, share, subscribe, share the spoopy with others. We still tiny, and that's okay. We don't mind being tiny, but somebody may need a laugh. They may need to be disgusted today with this story. Whatever you want to do on that. Welcome to the new subscribers, by the way. We do get them trickling in ever so often to our little pirate radio ship, ghost ship. And mainly know that you're loved. And let us pray one for another, because that's what's going to carry us all through. Lord willing, we'll see you on the next cup. Bye.